Well, hello again. Welcome to our reading of selections from Iliad Book 2, and I got up to line 142. So we've just had the speech of Agamemnon to the troops, and the Greeks now make a rush to the sea, but Hera then sends Athena to hold them back. This is 140 to 165. Or 142 to 165. So it begins Hosvato toisi de thumon eni sthethi or eni pasi metaplethon hosoi ubules ep akusan. And thus he spoke, and this is from Erino, he stirred the heart in the breasts. This is the neuter. This is the it's a neuter noun, third declension, stethos. We get that cognate with our stethoscope. So in the breast, toisi for them, for all of them. The toisi goes with the pasi. So thus he spoke, and he stirred the heart, or the thumos, in the breast for all of them. Metaplethon, this is a funny expression, it's a very odd use of meta. It means something like through the plethos, through the multitude. So as it went among the multitude, almost here. As many as did not hear, this is an aorist without augment, the boule, this is the earlier council. So as many as did not hear the boule, that didn't hear what his secret plan in fact was. Kinethe de agore fei kumata makra thalases. This fei here is a very odd word. It only occurs twice in the Iliad. Some scholars think it's cognate with the Sanskrit va, meaning like, and that's the meaning of it here. It's equivalent to hos, like as in the sense of as. So the agore, the assembly, kinethe, aorist passive from kineo without augment. So the assembly was stirred up, hos like the great waves, kumata thalases, of the sea, and more explicitly of the Achaian sea, named after, of course, Icarus. Tamen teuros tonotos te aurora epaixas patros dios ek nephelaon. So the great waves of the sea. Now ta, which, this is the usual use of the article in place of a relative pronoun. Eurus is the east wind, notos is the north. What have I got there? Right, no, the south wind. So east wind and the south wind, and this is a funny form. It's a reduplicated aorist here, I think from or numi, another verb of urging on. So which the Eurus and the notos, the east and the south wind, urge on, and then in apposition to either of these are ixas, darting up from the clouds of Father Zeus. Now nephele is a feminine noun, so again we see this genitive plural here, which in later Greek is just own, and here we're seeing that it's in fact aon, because it's a feminine noun. Hos de hot kinese Zephyros Bethuleon Elthon, as when Zephyrus, this is another one of the winds, having come, kinese moves, or might, this is subjunctive, so as when Zephyrus, having come, might move the deep. Leion is the cornfield. So another slightly obscure word here, the cornfield, laion. Diaeris is telling you it's two syllables there. Labros epigizdone. Well, again, another rare word here. This epigizdone is a rare word. It means to rush forward. Labros has the sense of violent. So it's a violent wind rushing forward. The epi goes with the amuo, and I think the subject here, well, it could be still Zephyrus. I think it is, rather than the cornfield here. But so it's rush for it. It is a violent wind which rushes forward, and it epi amuo. It bends against. So we might say it bears down upon. It bends down against the astokuesin. The alpha is not alpha privative here. It's just a intensitive. Well, it's an alternate form of stakos. The stakos is a ear of corn. So this is just a dative plural here. So it bears down or bends down against the ears of corn. Thus, pas agore, the whole gathering of them, kinethe, aorist passive, was moved. Toi de alateto. So another one of these. This one's probably an onomatopoetic word, alaleto. It means with a shout. And probably it's just onomatopoetic. They're screaming out, alalala. So they, with a shout, esuonto, from suo, they began to hasten. This is the imperfect. Notice the accent on ep, meaning it's going with the word before it. So they made haste in the direction of the ships. Podon de hupenerte conie istat I aromene. Yeah, this is a funny use of histemi here. Conie's dust, so the dust of their feet was rising up, hupenerte, from underneath. So rising up, histat, well, literally it stood there. So I think it's something like a cloud of dust was formed rising up from their feet. It's about the best I can do with the histat. Just means stood there, was stationed there. So a dust cloud formed as it rose up from beneath their feet, and they, Keliuon, were giving commands to one another. Haptesthai neon aid helkamen es hala dian. Hapto's got quite a range of meanings in Greek. It in the middle is to touch, to put their hands to the ships. And it's an expression we use in English. To put your hand to something means to get to do something with it. So they were giving orders to one another to put their hands to the ship. So literally to touch, it takes a genitive, haptomai, to put their hands to the ships, and helkemen, infinitive from helko, and to drag them into the glorious or divine hala, literally salt, but that comes to mean sea. To drag them into the divine sea. And urus exakathyron. Urus, another one of these very rare words. It means the launching ways or channels. These were channels by which the ships were dragged up from the sea. So in order to protect the wood, you weren't going to go sailing in it. You arrived there by ship, and then you drag the ship up onto the shore so you can keep it clean and dry. And these things that you used, these channels that you used to drag them up on, were these urus. And the main verb here is from kathyro, ek-kathyro, to clean out. So they began, it's imperfect, they began to clean out the launching channels. Aute, now notice the deeresis here, this is not aute, but aute, and that means that a cry, hiken from hiko, went up to heaven. Now we get this hiemenon, it's a genitive participle here, and this is from Hyami. I mentioned once in one of the other recordings, I think there are two Hyamis in Greek. There's one that you know and love, Hyami, which came from Sisami, and there's another Hyami from Huiami with a lost digamma, which means to want to desire. Possibly is cognate with our word wish, but I'm not sure on that. But it's Hyami in the sense of to desire. So the cry went up to heaven from them desiring, from them wishing, oikadi, well, to go home. So desiring, literally to home, so perhaps to go home. Hupata erion hermata neon. The hermata, these are the props underneath the ships. So they were, this is from Hyre O, uncontracted. So they began to remove the hermata. These are the props from Hupop beneath the ships. Once they've dragged them up, they've got to keep the boat steady on land, so they've got these wooden props to keep the boat from falling one way or the other, and that's what these hermata are. Entheken age oisin hup emorirenostos etukthe. And there, now don't forget the ken, that's really important here. It's going with the etukthe. This is aorist passive from tuko, to make or do. Here it's just in the sense of to be almost. And at that point, there would have been made a nostos, a return journey for the archives, a return journey which is huper mora, beyond what was fated. The more here is connected with the verb meiromai, which is connected with fate. So at this point there would have been created, there would have been made a return journey for the archives beyond what was fated. Ame, except. This is a stock standard trope in Homer. He says, we uses ken, there would have been something, but unless something happens to stop it. So we get ame, unless, but except that Hera, the Proskos with the ape, spoke a word to Athena. And this is what she says. O popoi. This, I never quite know how to translate O popoi. It's something like, oh dear. It's a funny word. It's almost certainly onomatopoetic. It's just a kind of expression of surprise or grief. O popoi, tekos, daughter or offspring. Tekos is from noun formed from tikto, to bear, and the root is etekon, so tek. So a tekos is a born, is the offspring. So here it's daughter, of course. So offspring of Aegis-bearing Zeus, Artutone. This is one of the epithets of Athena. It's a very old title and obscure. The etymology is not, I think, completely secure, but it's generally taken to mean the unwearied one. So there's an alpha privative here going on. The unwearied one. Huto de oikondi philein. Thus, you'll take the next line. Argio fuxonte. So, thus indeed the Argives, or thus almost now here for the day, the Argives will flee home, oikondi, to their home, into their own or their dear ancestral land. Ep uria nota, upon the broad backs. This is for a third. This is a it's a second declension, neuter noun. Noton is the back. Upon the broad backs of the sea, literally. And from Eurus, this is the uncontracted adjective here. So the Argives will flee on the broad backs of the sea back to their own dear fatherland, back home to their own dear fatherland. CAD is for kata. The alpha's elided and the tor has become a delta for the sake of euphony here before the de. And it's got the kata is going with the lapoi, leave behind. So the verb is kata lapo, and they would, don't forget the ken here, they would leave behind eukolein, a boast. And who is the boast? Well, the boast is going to be Argive Helen in a minute. So they would leave a boast for Priam and the Trojans, sort of i.e., the boast being Argive Helen, Haes Heinica, on account of whom many of the Achaians, Apollonto, have perished in Troy, away from their dear ancestral land. This is from Aya. It's another word for land or earth. It's a feminine first declension noun. Aya, probably cognate with, well, not cognate with Gaia, but it's just another word meaning land. It's Aya. So far from their ancestral land, their dear ancestral land. Philos can mean dear, it can mean their own, something belongs to you as well. So it could be away from their own ancestral land or their dear, whichever you prefer. Al ithi non Catalan Achaion calco ketonon. But come now, sorry, no, it must be not come, but go now, Catalaon, among the host of the bronze chitoned Achaians. So with their bronze, perhaps armour, bronze clad Achaians might be one way around it. Now, the main verb is, it's an imperative, eretue, restrain, hekaston phota, each man with your aganois, with your gentle words. That's quite a common adjective in Homer. I think it means gentle, with your gentle words. So restrain each man with your gentle words. The phota here is from, there are two phoses I mentioned before, I think. There's phos with a circumflex, and that means light. And there's phos with an acute, and that's what this is. This is the accusative of that, meaning a man. So restrain each man with your gentle words. And I'll just finish off the bit here. Medi ia neo salari helcamin amphiolysas. So do not allow, this is from eao, the verb, this is the imperative. Do not allow, understand them, helkemen, an infinitive, present infinitive from helko. It's this funny infinitive in emen form. So do not allow them to drag the naas, the ships which are amphielesas, the curved ships. Helade is from halade is from that house. This is the salt sea, and then a de to the sea. So do not allow them to drag the curved ships to the sea. And that is the next little section from the book 2.